You are watching The Guy Dawson Show at the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.com, and we are transmitted on multiple platforms. Corintha, will you share with the audience how they can watch the show?
Absolutely, Guy. We transmit on Facebook, on YouTube, of course on the main website, WCOBM.com. But make sure to check out The Guy Dawson Show on YouTube and subscribe to The Guy Dawson Show so that you can binge watch all those episodes.
That's right. We have people that are going over there and subscribing. We give you the opportunity to watch 24 hours a day. You can be watching Corintha and me and our past episodes. And
yes.
Yeah, please subscribe to the channel and watch us wherever you can.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah, and Zanye Dykes is in the studio today. She is a female professional basketball player who is from Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, you went to Bishop Gorman.
I did go to Bishop Gorman. Graduated in 2012. Home of the Gales.
What was that like? What a school that has become.
It was an awesome experience. I mean, when you hear Bishop Gorman, it's just this big name. You expect so many different things, and I didn't know what to expect going into high school. I just knew it was a great school. They had a great education, but most importantly, they had great athletics. That's what they're known for, is how great their athletic teams are. So when I went there, I was so focused on making varsity my freshman year. That was my main goal. So once I did that, I was really excited, and they helped me become the person I am today. And all the facilities weren't there when I was there. They've got a huge new training facility for the football program and all these nice things, but it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, I went to Las Vegas High School, so I was jealous on the other side of town. Everything Bishop Gorman had to offer.
That's funny.
But I'm glad to see that you took advantage of those opportunities, and then you ended up going to college in San Francisco, right?
Yes, at the University of San Francisco, and I got my degree in business entrepreneurship with a minor in finance, and I played basketball, and that also helped me get to where I'm at today, and that was an amazing experience. I mean, San Francisco is by far the best city in the world, in my opinion. I mean, the food, the people, the culture, the diversity, and I just met so many amazing faces, amazing people, so I had a great time.
Yeah, I agree. San Francisco is my kind of town. I love to go and visit that city.
I love it there.
So you played college basketball after a career as a high school athlete. What was the transition like? You said you were a freshman and you started at Bishop Gorman, and that's pretty impressive. What was it like going to that next level?
Going to that next level was definitely tough. I don't think anyone or anything can properly prepare you going from high school to being a Division I athlete. You're not used to things like study hall. We had to do study hall and get 8 hours a week of study hall in, on top of being in classes all day and having practice from 6 in the morning on to whenever the coach feels like letting you go. And then you got to go into classes, and then you got to get study hall in, and then you're traveling. Mind you, during the week, you're traveling at least 3 days out of the week playing teams, all around, whether it's preseason, it's all across the United States, or in conference, just people within your region. So you're balancing, study hall, getting good grades, because you got to keep your grades up, fitting food in when you can, fitting sleep in when you can, trying to be the best basketball player you can be, and all of those things. So it was definitely tough for me at first, just realizing how important time management is and knowing how to prioritize my day so I get everything done. But, I mean, going from Bishop Gorman to University of San Francisco, I think the transition was as smooth as it could possibly be.
Yeah, the Allen twins, that used to, them, basketball players.
Stanford, right?
Yeah, they were, I interviewed them a few months ago on this show, and they said the same thing as you, is that they never expected that they were going to have to do so much all at once. After being in high school, you're working very hard, but they said that it's like the high school basketball on steroids going to
exactly
university.
Exactly, because in high school you're just having a great time, hanging with your friends, and you have games occasionally. But in college, it's like you can have a game every other day, and you could be on one flight to the next flight and studying on the road and trying to take tests in the airport or tests in the hotel room as soon as you can to get there, get it in on time. It was a lot of adjustments for sure.
Oh, and then after you were done with college, you went on to play in Europe and in Germany specifically. Can you talk to us about that experience?
That was an amazing experience. I mean, that was what I dreamed to do ever since I was a little girl. I want to be a professional basketball player. I don't want to do anything else. I want to be a professional basketball player. Growing up my whole life, I mean, I wasn't into the Barbie dolls. I wasn't into all the girly, flashy things. I wanted to be outside with the boys playing sports. And I fell in love with basketball, and ever since I was real little, I wanted to go on and play professionally. So after my college season ended, I then got an agent and went through that whole experience, and I had no idea what that was going to be like. I didn't even know, what an agent was and why I had to get one. So I got an agent, and they helped me to get a professional contract overseas to play in Germany, and that was quite the experience. It was definitely different. You don't have your friends and your family right there supporting you, but they were supporting me from a distance, and that was enough. I met some amazing people. I was really young on my team. I wasn't used to that, playing with grown women. I mean, there was 30-year-olds on my team, 7 to 10 years older than me. So it was a great experience because I was playing with some of the best. And I actually had a girl on my team who I played against in college because she was in my conference, and she got drafted to play in the WNBA, and I always looked up to her. So when we ended up on the same team, it was awesome. So I could, compete with this girl that I looked up to my whole life and go to battle with her every single day. So that was awesome. My coaches were great. The experience of not just playing professionally, but playing abroad was quite the experience, because not only are you playing just other teams from around where you're from, but you're playing teams from all over the world. So I got to see so many places while doing what I loved. So it was an amazing experience.
Right, they're paying you to do that, to play basketball and travel to all these countries in Europe. That must have been like a dream come true.
It was a dream. I mean, my job is literally to go to practice, work as hard as you can, perform the best to your abilities in games, and enjoy being in Europe. I couldn't complain.
What was life like in Europe?
Life in Europe. When I first got there, the first thing they asked me was, because I got an apartment and a car with my contract, and they said, "Do you know how to drive stick?" And I was like, No, absolutely not.
Nobody has a stick in America anymore.
Yeah, and in Europe, that's all they do is they drive sticks. So I had to learn how to drive stick quickly, so I could get around, so I could get to the gym to go to practice, so I could work out. So I had a teammate that was nice enough to help me out. So that was a great experience. I learned how to drive stick like that because I was like, I got to get this down. I got to get places. That was definitely different. The lifestyle out there is a lot healthier, I would say, than America. I mean, they do have McDonald's, but they don't have a whole lot of fast food restaurants. Mm-hmm. They expect you to eat clean. They expect you to eat, cook your own meals at home. And that was a transition for me. I always ate healthy growing up, but little things like going to Chipotle or going to, little sandwich shops or any type of fast food atmosphere, it was nothing like that at all. So that was definitely different. The people were all very nice. I didn't come across any negativity at all, and that's what I love. The vibes out there were very positive. Everyone was very helpful. If I told them I couldn't speak the language, which that was tough, because I went out there thinking everyone was going to speak would speak a little bit of English, because that's what I was told, like, oh, in Germany you're going to be fine, it's just like America, they'll understand English. I get out there and I'm like, English? Do you guys speak English? And sometimes I would get someone who understood, and a lot of times not. So that was different for me, just not being able to communicate right off the bat in my language. So I was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I think it helped me grow up and be such a better person. I'm a lot more independent now. I feel like I can conquer just about anything. I feel like this was definitely the hardest transition for me, getting adjusted to living in a completely new place. But now I think I'm excited to see what takes me on next to a new place.
So I had a question for you, because I know that over here in the States, when you're playing overseas, you're making typically a lot more money than in the WNBA. So I was just curious about your desire and your motivation to be in the WNBA.
That's always been a desire of mine since I was a kid, not just playing professionally, but when I would think professional, my first thought was, WNBA, because growing up, that's all you see. You don't really see the overseas basketball lifestyle as much as you see the WNBA. So for me, it's not about necessarily how much money you're making, so to say. It's just about the experience and if you're happy while doing it. Don't get me wrong, I was extremely happy in Europe and playing, but if I do get the opportunity to go play in the WNBA, I'm going to take it in a heartbeat, just because that's something I've always wanted to do,
Yes.
And I think just being in the States and being able to play against girls that I may have looked up to my entire life or seen more of, that would be an awesome experience as well, because over in Europe they have different rules. So on my team, you can only have 3 Americans. So in the German league, you can only have 3 Americans per team.
Oh, wow.
So that was awesome. It was a different experience, and sometimes there's only 1 American per team. So there's a lot more Europeans than there are Americans. So I think playing in something like the W would get me the chance to play against a lot of girls that I know, familiar faces and faces that I've looked up to my entire life. So I think it's definitely not about the money when you're mentioning the WNBA. I just think it's the experience and the passion while doing it.
Yeah, so you're saying they limit the amount of Americans that can play on the teams in Europe. Is that a competitive thing?
I think it's a competitive thing, and I also think they want to keep the culture alive out there. So in whichever country these games are going on, they want to see a lot of their natives playing. They want to see them on the court and not just having, the American takeover.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it a lot more competitive for us as Americans, because it's harder to get jobs. It's harder to get picked up, because not only are you competing against the best of the best, you're competing against the best of the entire world now. So when they go to fill up these American spots on the rosters, you've got to be pretty high up there, because they can only pick 3, so they got to pick wisely. Versus the WNBA, they can have as many Americans as they want or bring Europeans in. So that's a lot different.
Definitely. Do you have a specific team or a couple of teams that you would love to play for?
Well, it's in the WNBA?
Yeah.
Or I think one specific team I would love to play for, just because being from close to California, I would always look up, the Lakers are my team. Whether they're winning or losing, they're my team.
The
so
Lake
the
Show!
Sparks are a team I would love to play for. Playing in Los Angeles, and I've been looking up to Candace Parker my entire life, so playing somewhere where she played, that would be an amazing experience. They've always been one of my favorite teams.
I'm all about that because I'm a Lakers fan, so.
Okay.
I didn't know. I never knew it was something I liked about you.
Yeah, that's the reason why he keeps me around. Now I'm going to have to become a Sparks fan and find out more about that.
Yes, you do.
Doing something at a professional level, I would imagine, is a lot different, though, than doing it in college as an amateur.
Right.
What are some of the differences between being a professional athlete as compared to doing it at the collegiate level?
The differences, the first difference that I noticed right away is it's strictly business. There's no, of course they're going to care about you if they're on your team, but it's not, we're going to love you up if you do well, we're going to feel bad for you if you don't do well. It's, we brought you here, we're paying you here to come and do your job, and that's to play well. So if you don't, you might be out of a job. So every day when I go to practice and when I go to games, it's not, I'm approaching it as, like practice, game, it's you got to have your mode in, this is my job now, so I need to do the best of my ability to make sure I maintain a job. So you got to approach it at a much more serious level. Now, don't get me wrong, the love for the game, that giddy feeling you get that I've had since I was like a little kid, that will never go away, but I have to approach these games as, I'm doing this for a paycheck now, so I need to perform and earn this paycheck and make sure I can maintain it. And some other things are just the whole communicating with your coaches versus when we were younger in college and in high school. If you have problems with your coaches or if you need, you can go to them and that you kind of communicate one-on-one. At the professional level, everything goes through your agent. So you need to make sure you have a great relationship with your agent, because your agent is who's going to be representing you and having your back if anything goes sideways or if you have any questions. That was different for me too. So I wasn't used to the whole, not just because I'm such a friendly person and I like to, interact and just keep it, even if it's business, like go up for myself, but it's all about kind of keeping it separate and making sure your agent's handling your business for you, because essentially they work for you now. So that was different as well.
Yeah, really, everything steps up to another level. Let me ask you, would you like to be on the Olympic team?
Oh, of course, I would love to. Actually, my mother is Italian, and I'm in the process of getting my Italian citizenship, because that'll just help me play in Europe and play overseas, because if I can get my Italian citizenship, I then become an Italian, and I'm no longer one of those 3 American spots, or I'm no longer, it just makes me more valuable as a player.
Absolutely.
And so once I get that, I would love to get the opportunity to go play in Italy and possibly represent them as a country. Yeah, and I actually played in China on a USA team. We did a little tournament and toured and represented USA, and we played against New Zealand, Poland, and China, and that was an awesome experience, just having USA across your chest and doing what you love and representing your country. So that's always been a goal of mine.
And you went to school for entrepreneurship, and
Yes.
how is that factoring into your career?
I think it's factoring into my career every single day, because I'm constantly having to think kind of like a business person now, that even though I'm just playing basketball, because you got to approach things like, if this was a job, or no matter what you're doing, are you doing the best of your ability? Does your boss want to keep you? So I'm constantly in business mode and thinking little things one by one. And when I'm done playing basketball, I actually want to get into real estate. So I've been looking at what approach I want to take in the real estate world. So I've got some things ahead as far as entrepreneurship and business goes.
I think it's absolutely fantastic that you took advantage of playing basketball and going to college and getting such a viable degree. I think it angers me when I hear about athletes and they get these general studies degrees, and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah,
what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Once and then an injury hits, and I'm not saying that for you. I'm gonna keep that energy far away from you.
Yeah.
But something happens,
Right.
and then their career is done, and then what do? What do they have to fall back on?
That's why I'm always in business mode. So when I'm overseas, I have a lot more free time. I practice in the morning from 8 to 10, and then at night from 8 to 10. So I have a lot of time during the day. So I'm thinking a lot constantly about my future, and I'm constantly thinking, when I become a businesswoman and I get out into the real world one day, what do I want to do? How do I want to approach things? So I'm constantly just trying to set my future up. So in case, knock on wood, something like an injury happens, or my body just can't play anymore, because this doesn't last forever.
True.
You got to have your jobs and your careers lined up, so the real world doesn't just smack you in the face when you're done,
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure I didn't do little, like advertising or arts majors, and I wanted to really take advantage of something that I wanted to do when I was done.
Who was your toughest matchup in college?
In college,
The player that you defended, who was the toughest, or that you played against?
I would definitely say, it's funny because it's the same girl I was telling you about that I ended up playing with this year, but her name is Hayden Palmer, and she played at Gonzaga. I'm sure you guys have heard
I've
of her.
heard of her, yeah.
Yeah. So she was a senior when I was a freshman. Or she was a junior when I was a freshman. So I got to play against her for 2 years, and I would always look up to her because, she was just an amazing player, and she would challenge me every single time we stepped on the court, and I would watch her, whether it be the way she warmed up or whether it be the way she competed in games. I would just really trying to hound in on noticing her skill level and trying to match it. So it was amazing when I got to the professional level and I started playing with her and getting to go against her again at practice, and now moving up, getting closer to her level and becoming the player that she was. So it was an awesome experience, battling at the collegiate level and then becoming teammates and battling against others together. So that was great.
What about your most memorable collegiate game or professional game?
I'm definitely going to do the most memorable collegiate game because my senior year, mind you, from freshman year up to my senior year, I was the starting point guard. I actually have the record for most minutes played at the University of San Francisco for men and women. When I got to the University of San Francisco, the program wasn't that good. So I knew I had a lot on my shoulders. I knew I had to lead a team, run a team, and help build this program. So, my first year we won maybe 6 games. So it was tough. Next year, we started winning a little bit more. My junior year, we started winning a little bit more. In my senior year, we started winning a little bit more. Not enough to think we'd ever win a championship, but we started winning enough to where I was like, okay, if we really go out there and put our minds to this, we can do this. So it was in Las Vegas, because our conference tournament is held in Las Vegas every single year, and we were playing against BYU for the championship game.
Oh, wow.
And we were the 6th seed, and they were either the number 1 or the 2 seed, so they were expected to be in the championship game. We were not. And so we won that game, and that was the first time in 20 years that USF has won the WCC conference. So that was the most memorable game for me.
I think I remember seeing that on media, on sports media, yeah.
So I'll never forget that day, and we made it to the NCAA tournament. It was a dream of mine. So.
Well, we appreciate you for dropping by the show today, and we wish you
so
all the
much.
best, be it in the WNBA or if you go back over in Europe. It sounds like you have a lot of direction, and you gained a lot of leadership experience.
Absolutely.
From your collegiate career and your career running teams as a point guard for a long time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
And the co-hostess with the mostest, Corintha Turvalon, thank you for co-hosting again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and continue to tune into the Guy Dawson Show. You can, again, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and watch us day and night, or tune in next Thursday at 2 p.m. at WCOBM.com. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in 1 week.